This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. We'll do a couple introductions. We've got Councillor Ron Mamchuk from Sandolph.
Good morning.
Councillor Janine Boulanger from Grand Point area.
Good morning, everyone.
Councillor Clayton from St. Agatha region.
Morning, everybody.
I'll be chairing in the absence of his worship this morning. So let's get started. Call the meeting to order at 9:02. Mover.
Councillor Mamchuk.
Seconder.
Councillor Boulanger.
Please cast your vote.
Councillor Mamchuk?
Yes, it's a yes.
Oh, it just came in. Thank you. Carried 4-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item 2, adoption of the agenda. Is there any discussion on that? Any changes?
Not here.
Not here.
Okay. Cast your vote.
Mover, seconder.
Mover. I'll move. Councillor Clayton.
Thank you, guys. Second.
Councillor Boulanger.
Thank you. Cast your vote.
Vote is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Adoption of minutes from last meeting, August 18th. Mover.
Councillor Mamchuk.
Seconder, please.
Councillor Clayton.
The floor is yours,
Last meeting was held on August 18th at 5:30. At that time, we entertained a variation regarding sign. That decision was tabled to this meeting. We also had a conditional use application for beekeeping in the residential area. We also gave second reading to the parking bylaw, first reading to closing a portion of a public reserve or public park. 2 subdivisions were approved, as well as 3 warranty periods have ended in the construction development area. And last but not least, we entered into an agreement with the St. Agatha Trail system, which the land is owned by the Baudry brothers. So that's in process of getting signed at their end. And once we do, we'll be able to move ahead with trail development, further trail development. But, about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. CEO. Cast your votes.
Carried 4-0.
Thank you. Item 4.1, accounts paid to be approved. Got a mover?
Councillor Boulanger.
Councillor Mamchuk seconds it.
Thank you.
2 batches. First one is 15,155 in the amount of 489,000. Big ticket items there are the purchase of a grader and purchase of a bobcat. Batch number 15,202 for 76,000. There again, the CFO has provided a report for each batch. Council, my recommendation to council would be to review that, take a look at that, but summarizes the big ticket items, nothing else to report on this matter.
Thank you, council. Any questions on these 2 batches?
Not here, sir.
Not here.
No.
Thank you. Cast your vote, please.
Vote is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Item 4.2, accounts not paid to be approved. Get a mover.
Councillor Clayton.
Counselor Mamchuk.
Thank you, Councillor Clayton, seconded Councillor Mamchuk.
That's correct.
Two batches. First batch is basically just a tax refund at 151,205 for the amount of $517. Second batch is batch number 151,206 in the amount of $342,000. There again, the CFO has provided a report for that bigger batch. A lot of construction stuff going on as well. Basically not much else to report on this batch.
Thank you, sir. Council, any questions on those?
Not here, sir.
Not here.
Thank you. Cast your vote.
Vote is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Item 4.3, council indemnities. Get a mover.
Counselor Boulanger,
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you.
So indemnities for the month of August, council all have summary copies of that. They range from the hours of 7 to 13. Summer months to be expected. Nothing else to report on the matter.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
Not here.
None here.
Thank you. Cast your vote.
I believe the squirrels are still running around for Councillor Mamchuk's vote here.
Man, how come it's slow? I voted already.
Okay, in favor, Councillor Mamchuk?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So that would be 4-0 carried.
Thank you. Item 4.4, payroll to be approved. Can I get a mover, please?
Counselor Mamchuk.
Thank you. And second.
Counselor Boulanger,
Thank you.
Two payrolls to be approved, payroll 17 and payroll 18. In looking at payroll 17, did not have any issues with the reporting of the employees' hours there. However, in payroll 18, there is some overtime hours for the public works area, understandable, but also some overtime hours for admin in bank time. I think this just happens to be a period where very busy with a whole bunch of planning issues and wanting to go on vacation at the same time. So I have no problems with the matter. We'll try to give her less work next time before she goes on holidays.
Yes, it is important to keep that work-life balance. Thank you, Mr. CEO. Council, any questions?
Not here.
None here.
Thank you. Cast your vote.
What the heck?
The vote is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Move on to item 5.1, bylaw 8-2021, amend parking bylaw, third reading. Can I get a mover?
Counselor
Counselor Clayton.
Mamchuk.
Councillor Mamchuk, again, second by Councillor Clayton. Thank you.
So this is in regards to third reading to the parking bylaw amendment. Council has the revised bylaw. Proposed changes are to include are with the Ile des Chênes Main Street north. which basically excludes the area by the outdoor skating rink, as well as the Grand Point Meadows Boulevard at the entrance, where we are not putting parking, or we are putting no parking on both sides of the streets as well. So those two changes have been mapped, coordinates are placed, and bylaw has been updated for third reading.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
Not here.
The Grand Point map that is in our packet shows a camera highlighted document. So I guess they're wrong. I was just wanting to see what the map looked like, and do you guys see that, or is it just on my end?
Yes, the
no.
PDF is not right.
Yeah, definitely not right. My apologies there. I don't know which file that is. If you have faith in your CAO, I will guarantee you that it is on both sides of Grand Point. What I can do is quickly send you an email, Councillor Boulanger, before the end of the meeting, and you'll have it in sight.
Super, thank you.
Yeah, just on the coordinates one there, Councillor Boulanger, it does show north and south, so
Yeah, I read
without-
that too. So I
without
just
guessing
wanted to.
the coordinates, we'll
Uh-huh.
assume it's the right one.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Question for staff is, are we ready for tickets, enforcement after this is done? Ready to go?
We have our screening officer 99.9% on board, so he'll be ready. I've had discussions with the commissioners by law enforcement regarding the process, and we are currently just finalizing the ticket books to be given to the commissioners to hand out. Want to try to get it as generic as possible for parking, whereby you'll have a warning checkbox versus a penalty checkbox on the same document. Because currently our old tickets have a warning book and a ticket book, which is, I think, not as efficient as it could be. And then part B is not only having a ticket book in place for parking, but also a ticketing book for the rest of the bylaws that we have under the MBEA bylaw. So just finalizing the ticket books. I'm hoping by early October, mid-October, that the commissioners will have all the tools they need to start rolling out and issuing warnings and or tickets.
Perfect, thank you. There's been some concern that in behind the Gabroy School that they're parking on both sides of Hamilton, which is awesome. We can get something done with that sooner rather than later. I'm sure it would be appreciated by the residents there.
Well, we could currently, right now, if there is immediate issues, send the bylaw officer there right away and just have him talk to people, educate them, and move forward. So,
okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Nope.
Thank you. Cast your vote.
vote is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Moving on to 6.1, variance 11-2021 Sandale Automotive Grand Point sign.
So at the last council meeting, we had a public hearing. Oh, sorry, mover seconder.
I was going to ask if
Councillor
we actually need a mover seconder on this since it's being withdrawn.
Yes, basically I drafted up a resolution. I consulted with legal counsel just to make sure the proper process, and you'll have the resolution there. I could read it out loud once somebody moves and seconded.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Mamchuk, second.
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you.
Okay, so the resolution reads, therefore be resolved that council confirms receipt of withdrawing the application and no further action on the application will be taken. So basically at the last last meeting, we had the public hearing for the variation of the size of the sign. The location was incorrect in our map. So what we did is we did reach out to the immediate landowners in the area affected by the proper location. We did have a resident that did have a big concern with the location, but however, since then, Sandale has withdrawn the application and will refile a new application with a new location and sign proposal.
Awesome. Thank you. Council, any questions?
Not here.
Not here.
I have a question about above the resolution for owner Eric Natchuk. But Dale Lowen is the one that wrote the letter and signed it. So are they taking their partners, or?
I will refer to our planning person, Tanya Waddell, as I don't know the correlation between the owners and the applicants.
Okay.
Hi, the owner of the original property that Sandale was going to put the sign on, he had permission from Eric Natchuk, the property owner, to put a sign on Eric's property. That's why it reads that way.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
For owner Eric has submitted a letter to withdraw. Okay. Got it. Thank you. It's legalese.
Yep. All right, if no further questions, cast your vote.
The vote is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Moving on to 6.2.1, assuming infrastructure, Burnett Road and Phase 2, Stage 2 of Grand Point Meadows subdivision. Can I get a mover?
Councillor Blanchet.
Second.
Councillor
Councillor
Clayton.
Mamchuk.
Thank you, Councillor Clayton.
So basically, the development in the Grand Point area is ongoing. Phase 2 infrastructure, the roadworks were inspected by our public works manager and engineers last Friday, as well as the construction of and paving of Burnett Road. That as well was inspected. So seeing that there were no deficiencies in the matter, Public Works and Administration are requesting council to authorize a release of a portion of the letters of credit for stages 2 of Phase 2 and as well as part of Phase 1. We are still keeping some monies aside on Phase 1. I believe there's still a minor water leak at the water plant there, so that has to be remedied accordingly. So we're keeping that as a security. Other than that, progress is going very well. Construction is well done. So recommendation is to release these sums of money on the letter of credit.
Perfect, thank you. Council, any questions?
Not here, sir.
None here.
Thank you. Cast your vote.
Mr. CAO, I'm having difficulty voting, but I'm in favor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clayton. That would be 4-0 in favor. Carried.
Thank you. Move on to 631, Stars Foundation fundraiser.
Over.
Sorry.
Councillor Mamchuk?
Second.
Councillor Blanchet.
Thank you.
Seems to be a very popular fundraiser for the Stars Foundation, whereby they strand people on an island and have them raise money to get them off of the island. Last year we had the rec director, I believe, from the St. Anne's area, whereby we helped support her release of the island. This year, the volunteer that we know of is Dennis Volkov. He's the executive director of the AMM Association of Manitoba Municipalities, and their goal is to reach $50,000 to be released. I believe STARS is an important organization for our area and all of Manitoba. The only thing that needs to be discussed is the amount, as I have left it blank in the resolution.
This is Councillor Mamchuk. I'm a big supporter of STARS. We've been giving donations personally by buying calendars and all that. And just reviewing in the last year, STARS has been in our area quite a bit, and I think this is an excellent fundraiser. And if I have anything to say, I wouldn't mind donating the same amount like we did last year, if that's okay with Weston Council.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Mamchuk. Was it $10,000 that we donated last year?
That's correct, sir.
Mm-hmm. I'd be in favor of that.
Thank you, Curtis. Councillor Boulanger?
Yeah, I have no problems with that. I've heard of a few incidents where they've had to go, and in Grand Point here as well. So I think it's a good cause.
Thank you, Council. Mr. CAO, we will put in the value of $10,000.
Done.
Council, cast your vote.
Vote is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Move on to 632, Ile des Chênes Legacy Park Design. Get a mover.
Councillor Mamchuk?
And second.
Councillor Clayton?
Thank you both.
So our rec director has proposed a resolution here to hire the firm of David Wagner and Associates, Catapult Consulting and Site Work LA. This is in regard to the Ile des Chênes Legacy Park project that we are undertaking. This is, I guess, the first step without a consultant or anything like that. Moving forward, we don't know what we want in that space, so these people will be hired to come up with a plan and send that to the committee for review and move forward from there. Looks like we received 7 submissions, and the committee interviewed 3. If there's any other questions regarding the matter, I believe our rec director's online to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Council, any questions?
Not here.
I have a question about the, again, about money. This is all going to be part of the whole project cost, right? Coming through that committee. Is that how that works?
Yes, it will be part of the project cost for the entire project.
Okay. Sounds great. I'm familiar with David Wagner and their crew, and it looks like they've got some young blood and some good ideas. I've seen a couple of their projects, and I think it's a good decision. Well done, committee.
Anything else?
Not here.
Not here.
Okay, thank you. Cast your vote.
Vote is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Moving on to 633 Disc Golf Course, St. Adolphe Park. Get a mover.
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you. And second.
Councillor Blanchet.
Thank you.
So in discussions with our recreation director, I believe a local resident has scouted the St. Adolphe Park just outside of the ring dike to the west of the community here. Figured that it might be a perfect location to put up a disc golf course, if that's the right word. So a plan was sent to Disc Manitoba. They got the plan, they looked at it, thought it was a great idea, made some comments regarding the layout. Of course, trying to not have vehicles in the vicinity of a basket. It's just like putting a parking lot by a whole golf hole. You may have the errant throws going on. But other than that, looks like the RM is seeking permission to contribute about $2,000 towards the cost. The volunteers, I believe, are in place to do some of the work involved in laying out the course. I think the sport itself is becoming more and more popular. You're starting to see more of these courses out a little bit all over. If there's any further questions, again, our recreation director is online.
Thank you, Mr. Seal. Council, any questions on that one?
None here. Sounds fun.
Yeah, no, I think it sounds great. Great use of that land too, because it's the flood zone, right? So you can't put much up there. So yeah.
I agree with you completely, Janine, because it's nice to see that property is going to be used by the residents, and I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, and speaking with the rec director earlier, the course is actually there already, put together by a volunteer who just made some baskets and put it up. And Disc Manitoba came out and were like enthralled with how awesome it was. It's a pretty cool story. If no further questions, we'll go to the vote.
Resolution is carried 4-0.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to 634, National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, update personnel policy. Can I get a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. And seconder?
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you.
As we are all up to date with current events and the events surrounding the residential schools, the federal government and also the provincial government has now recognized September 30th as a National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. The goal here is to have observance, reflections, and meaningful discussions on the impacts of what these residential schools have had. The policy, it is now becoming a statutory holiday under federal and provincial legislation. Recommendation is to update our personnel policy as well to reflect this for September 30th. And as well as information for council, our rec director is in the works of laying out a reading project on the main streets of all the 4 communities, trying to educate folks with a storybook, open book, station type of thing for September 30th. If Amber, you want to detail that a little bit more into more information for council before they take a vote on this, that would be appreciated.
Hi, everyone. So Storywalk is an organization that allows people to put together basically books that are taken apart and put on storyboards throughout a pathway. And so what we'll be doing is encouraging residents to visit our pathways and main streets and to read the books. They're children's books that are basically detailing different experiences, stories about the residential school system. So we have one book for each community, a different book for each community, and we'll publish the names of the books in case individuals would like to visit different communities and take in the different stories. But that also allows us to then rotate the stories throughout our communities as we move forward in future years in honoring the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
Do you staff?
Nope, Shane, I think you're frozen.
Questions?
I just have a comment. I think that's great work from our rec director, and I know that.
Seeing none, we'll call for the question.
Oh,
Sorry, I was in midstream of conversation there. Do we still have a minute to discuss this?
I think we lost Shane. I think, yeah, maybe go ahead, Curtis.
Okay, well, do we have quorum at least with Shane not here?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I was just going to say that great work from our rec director, and I know that the municipality has an important role to play in truth and reconciliation, especially when it comes to awareness. But I just didn't see on the policy update here where it talks about having the paid day off, and that's not something that I'm not in favor of yet. You know, our team gets Easter Monday and also Remembrance Day off. These aren't holidays that are recognized by all employers in Manitoba, and I know that Louis Riel Day is a special day for our province. That's one that's not recognized federally. So I definitely want to move forward with recognizing truth and reconciliation and making this a topic of awareness for the municipality. But I'm just wondering if the actual paid day off is something that council should be considering at another time, or if it should be doing that right now.
Thank you, Curtis, for voicing that. That's my sentiments, 100%. I agree with you. That's where I had a little bit of an issue with it. I'm in total favor of the recognition. It's getting paid for recognition is what I have a little bit of an issue with. So I'm not sure if that's how the policy reads or if that's how it actually is. So that's why I said I wasn't 100% sure on the whole setup.
Also, Curtis and Jenny, the civic holiday in August, the same thing. It's not a paid holiday, actually. Isn't that correct?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, was that yes to Ron or yes that you can hear me now?
We can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Sorry.
We can hear you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. As the province has recognized this, I know federally things are a little murky. At my other job, we fall in line with the federal policies. And of course, the provincial ones cover most of the same ones. We're covered at Shaw for that 30th. As municipal employees, I think they would fall under the same umbrella as provincial employees, which are being recognized as a paid day off currently. And I think we should probably follow suit.
And also, the elections coming up September 20, we could have a change of government as well. But this was introduced June 30th, this National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, from what I understand. And I think they passed the bill as a statutory holiday. So I think the staff should be paid for it regardless. That's my opinion. I think when the province and federal government put a policy in place, we pretty well have to follow it. That's my 2 cents.
I appreciate that, Councillor Mamchuk. I know that, like I said before, the federal government doesn't recognize Louis Riel Day, which is an important holiday for Manitobans. I think there's a lot of gray area now. We seem to be churning out holidays that not everyone recognizes. Remembrance Day is a very important one. It's not recognized by all employers in Manitoba. I honestly, for me, feel we have 2 separate topics here. One is raising awareness and recognizing truth and reconciliation, and we also have a staffing policy. But to me, these are 2 separate.
Well, Louis Riel
issues.
is a provincial holiday. We know that, but this is not. This is the federal. This is right across Canada. This is not only in Manitoba.
But for government employees only is what and I guess Shane, you said that Shaw follows the federals, but not all others. I just feel that if it's going to be a complete across the board, then it should be complete across the board. But I do have an issue with taking a day off and getting paid for it to recognize the tragedies that happened.
I know that sorry, I don't want to interrupt, Councillor Belanger. We do have a holiday in September for staff as it is.
Mm-hmm. So if we were like Councillor Clayton said, this is like 2 different issues almost. Like we obviously want to support the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
Yeah, no, I agree with Councillor Belanger. I mean, I want to vote in favor, obviously. Well, I shouldn't say obviously, but I mean, it's definitely meaningful to vote in favor of recognizing truth and reconciliation. But if I feel as a councillor that I'm opposed to the paid holiday, I don't want to vote against raising awareness for truth and reconciliation. And that's how right now this is packaged.
I'd like to know what the AMM is going to recommend.
Mr. Seo, can we vote this with that we recognize it, and then we'll.
I would tend to agree with council on this one right now, to vote on the matter of recognizing the day for what it is. As the province came out with the announcement only on last Friday, there's still some ambiguity in regards to it being a stat holiday, a paid holiday, versus what's in the Manitoba Employee Standards Code, et cetera, et cetera. As you were having the discussion, I was trying to do some quick Google searches on it, and it's not 100% clear. I do know that our CAO groups meet every second Thursday, so I could throw out the question and dig up a little bit more answers. I do know that in the southeast area, most, if not all but one, we're going to close the office for the day. So if that's any indication. But I think let us do a little bit more research on the so-called staff day, and then we'll come back with a recommendation to council.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make one last comment that, you know, if this does, obviously it sounds like it'll be passed provincially and federally. Can we take a stand as a municipality and say no to the paid holiday? Has that ever been done before? You know, or do we have to follow suit? Do we have to be, you know, fall in line, or is this something that we can maybe stand out on?
I think if council's not in agreement with the provincial stance, you do have your lobbying group through the Eastern District resolutions that go to the AMM for general discussion. So that would be the route I would recommend council take, if not in agreement.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, pending that, cast your vote.
So we're not tabling this, we're voting on this? Is that the idea or?
Just to recognize the date.
Okay, okay, perfect.
And that is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9, adjournment. Item mover.
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. Second, I think that was Councillor Boulanger.
Yes.
Thank you. Cast your vote.
Vote is carried 4-0.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned at 9:42 a.m. Tanya, you can stop recording.